What's going on, brother?
Oh, just chilling like a villain.
Why we got speaker view going? Let's change that, shall we?
It's getting darker earlier and earlier.
It is, brother. It is.
Not that it's dark yet. Sun's still out, but it's
Look
down
at the
pretty low compared to how it was just a month ago.
look at the shadows behind me, bro.
Are you dark there? It's dark there, huh?
It is, brother. It's pitch black outside. Living on the
Wow.
lake. What's up, hangouters? It's Drake and Robbie here, and you're Hangout Live. It is, dude. It's really dark outside, but it's been a beautiful day here in West Texas, so I cannot complain. At least we're not scorching the earth like California, there, buddy.
Well, that part, yeah, I guess there's some burning going on as far as the temperature. To tell you the truth, I haven't gone outside today. It looked nice from inside.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. You haven't been outside all day?
Yeah, there's times I haven't been outside for a freaking week, it seems like. Yeah, I might go
Wow.
out and water the grass or something, but it's crazy.
I get up and leave the house every morning and go do my morning show. So I get out every day.
I don't, I haven't got out today. There's days I don't get out.
That's really sad. We're gonna have to talk about that. All right,
Yeah.
let's say thanks to our sponsors here real quick. We've got dun, 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 dun. Let's do a screen share, shall we?
Yeah.
How about backbeat music?
Start with backbeat.
We love Alexandra. She's had a rough week, man. So everybody say some prayers and some special things for Alexandra and keep her in your heart. She's had kind of a rough go this week, so we got to show her much love, much love. And who else we got here? This is so complicated, bro.
Media.
Oh, no, you're out of line, bro.
Oh, full spectrum.
We got full spectrum, dude. I love these people. And actually, I've got to give them your address because they're sending you a care package.
Oh, all right.
Nice. And it's time you learn the truth about
That's right.
CBD. All right. And last but not least, we've got our brother over at Media Jaw. That's Jody Gentry supporting the show as always. We love him for that and making sure that our website, which is www.thehangout.live, is always rocking and rolling, where you can go view all the past shows from the Hangout. So, with that said, Robbie, we said during the pre-show this week that we were going to give away a prize tonight.
Oh, so we're going to do it at the end of the show?
I think we should do it at the end of the show. So you guys got to stick around and watch and participate. We've got an amazing, not only actor, but dancer, fashion model, one of the top male models in the world, and has an incredible list of credits to his name. We've got James Hyde with us tonight.
Shall we bring James in?
I think we bring him in.
I think the ladies are waiting.
I know, dude. They've been tearing it up on Facebook this week. They're like, "Oh, hello, baby."
Yeah, hi there.
James, what's going on, brother?
What's happening, guys? What's happening?
It's good, brother. It's good. Glad to have you with us tonight on the Hangout Live, my friend.
Thank you very much for the invite, man. I so much appreciate you guys, man. I really do. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. We got to say a special thank you to Stuart Marriott for introducing us to begin with. Bury those inner weapons, folks. It's time for some peace.
So Stuart, actually, funny enough, Stuart and I have known, well, back in the 90s, we did some work, for Versace back in the day. And I hadn't spoke to him in a long time. And about, 3 months ago, I called him up for something else. And we started conversing again. And he started telling me a little bit what was going on in his life and everything. And some stuff I didn't know, and next thing you know, he said, "Hey, I'm going to be on the show. Tune in to Hang Out Live." And he said, "Let me introduce you to these guys." So thank you, Stuart. Stuart's a good man. He's a good dude, man.
Yeah, he is.
Very good dude.
Yeah, he's an incredible human being. I talked to him quite a bit. Right now, he's over in the UK. He's facing some hardships with his wife's father, who's in his ending phases of life. So he's over there taking care of him and taking a break for 6 months to do that. And that's an incredible human being.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's a good man. I learned a lot. I haven't spoke to him in quite a while and learned a little bit. I didn't know, again, we were talking about kids. I didn't know he had that many kids. And so anyway, we got to talking. We filled in the blanks of our lives and what we've been doing. And he's got some exciting stuff going on. So Stuart, if you're listening, big shout out to you, and we'll see you soon, man.
Yeah.
Much love, Stuart. All right, so James, you just mentioned that we were talking previously about our kids and stuff like that. Let's take you back to when you were a kid
Yeah,
and growing up. Now, you grew up in Lancaster, is that correct?
that's it. Lancaster, Ohio.
Nice, brother. Nice. Tell
Yeah.
us about that. What was it like
Well,
growing up in Lancaster?
well, I mean, small town. Um, there's 5 of us in our family. My dad worked in a factory. My dad worked at Anchor Hawking Glass for 42 years, never missed a day of work.
Wow.
Drank.
Nice.
I can't believe me and my brothers would like how my dad went to work today, because he'd come home, he'd have like some drinks, like a lot, but he'd never, ever miss a day of work. So, and my mom was a country and western singer. So
Seriously.
I was that kid that used to go and watch my mom play in different venues and stuff. And so that's basically on the weekends,
Wow.
man. I was kind of like hanging out with my mom and watching her play and so much enjoying that life. She played for, and we're talking about, the drop off, like I'm going to be 58, and my sister, who's younger than me, is 10 years younger than I am. So my mom was really starting to get traction playing music and recorded a few songs. And then she got pregnant, and, ultimately she had to make that decision, and of course my mom was a no-brainer. She chose life, and
Right.
and you have to raise a baby, and still she played, because I remember babysitting. And then, I think that she just lost that, because my mom it was called Jill Hyde and the Bel Airs. That's
Jill
her name,
Hyde?
right? Jill Hyde and the Bel Airs. And yeah, and so she kind of just kind of ran out of gas, because she's the one who booked all the gigs. She was the lead singer. She was the one who put it all together. But yeah, so that was kind of my life. I was a very sporty kid growing up. I played baseball, basketball, football. But the one thing I got to say is my Buckeyes. I am a humongous Ohio State Buckeye fan. So when people come over my house, they run, because we get that going. So people try to hide my bell. So I'm a big Ohio State football fan. I can't wait for college football season to start. The Big Ten starts playing October 24th, and we're gonna win the national championship. You can take it right now. I'm saying it. We're gonna win it. So there you go.
They're always contenders, but I mean, there always is Alabama. Alabama's usually right there. They're always contenders. Texas,
Texas, I cannot believe Texas barely won this weekend. I think they scored like 63 points against Texas Tech.
Right.
I didn't even know Texas Tech still had a football team, but
those Red Raiders are tough, brother.
no,
They're a tough team.
Offensively, they're just this, right? They master it. There's no defense. So anyway, there's a good friend of mine, Greg Vaughn, who's on Days of Our Lives, and he's out in North Carolina right now, and he was giving me crap about Texas. So I went with Greg Vaughn to Texas with Ohio State Texas games a few years back when we went there. They beat us the year before with Vince Vaughn. I think it was Vince Vaughn, right? The quarterback.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then the next year I went to Texas and we smashed Texas. But anyway, we've got this rivalry with all my buddies. One's from Oklahoma. Gave him crap this weekend because they got beat. Yeah, I'm a diehard college football fanatic.
Nice.
But anyways, a kid growing up, we were all that. My 2 brothers played sports. We were diehard because we had no professional teams in Columbus. So it was the Buckeyes. That was it.
Right.
So every Saturday, man, it was diehard. We watched, and then that team up north, the Ishikin team.
Right.
We got that game with them. So, but yeah, I mean, growing up as a kid, small town, I was blessed. The only thing I can tell you is I wanted to get out there as fast as I could. But when I started going back with my wife, we just saw how beautiful it is, and there's something to do what I do. I could never go back and live there, but it was fun to go back and visit.
So is mom and dad still with us?
No, they've passed.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, my dad passed first, and my mom passed away. So, great people. Learned a lot from them, and they're just great people.
Well, I'd like to play
so
your mom on the radio sometime. That'd be kind of cool.
I have some 45s here that I still have from my mom. She recorded. I remember actually being with her when she recorded those, because I'm from Langston. Of course, we went to Columbus to record those.
Right.
And I remember when she walked out of the studio, and if I can remember correctly, I don't know if it was more than it could have been just a 4-track that they were recording on. This was probably 71, 72, something like that.
Right.
So, I could be wrong, but I
it
think,
could be. It's possible. They had 8 tracks for sure at that time, up to 8.
Yeah.
None even had 16. I think they had 16 at that time, but some of the studios would still be holding on to older gear, right?
oh
So they
yeah,
might have had one of those 4 tracks. Like they're legit machines.
yeah,
were
and
using.
I think that they were recording, of course, on their own dime. So I think that
Yeah,
they were trying to just get something on vinyl.
right. Now you never got the bug for singing, playing from your mom being a performer. I mean, did you ever
Well,
kind of
funny
feel like,
enough, I when I so when I left, because my musical influences from my mom, of course, was country. My dad loved bluegrass,
Mm.
and we, as my 2 brothers, we lived. My mom and dad lived upstairs with the 2 girls, and us boys lived down in the basement, down in the dungeon. We had JBL monitors, 4 of them in the basement. So when we wanted to turn AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, we wanted to turn it up to 11.
yeah,
And my dad, I could just hear those footsteps coming right now, and turn that shit down. Um, but then I joined the military when I was 17,
Mhm.
and when I went into the military, it was such a drastic change for me in a lot of ways. I was only 17. I just graduated from high school, and I went into the military, and I started listening to soul and funk, and I loved it. I just was that blend, and I even tried to one time do some music myself, a little hip hop, rock influence, and I tried to do that myself. I performed, Versace parties in Detroit, New York. I performed at. I'll think in a second, um, but anyway, I performed all around trying to do my own stuff. I performed in Japan,
Nice.
at a satellite thing outside where I had to have 3 songs, and that definitely was part of what I wanted to do. And so started off, was in the military for 3 years, got out, stayed in Hawaii, and then I started modeling, and then it took me all over the place. And then I wanted to started dabbling in the music, really wanted to do that. And then the organic move, of course, was when we went to Miami, like in 1990. I started wanting to get the acting bug,
Mm.
and so that kind of took over. And I said, that's I think that's the longevity of the career is what I wanted to do, because performing in clubs and trying to get your money, and it's just it was a fiasco within itself, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So were you in the Navy then or
I was in the Army.
Army?
Yeah, I was stationed at the Triple Army Medical Center in Hawaii.
Wow. You
Yeah,
got the lucky assignment,
I
brother.
did. So a quick story. Me and my brother said he's a year older than I am. He said, "Hey man, we're going to join together." I was in Arizona visiting my uncle, and I go, "Listen, when I get back, I'm going in the next day. I'm going to sign up." Of course, nowhere to be found. So I went in and joined. I ended up going to Hawaii. He ended up going to somewhere in Texas, Fort Hood.
Yeah. Right
Yeah,
up the street from us.
yeah. So he, got that. I worked in the hospital, and he worked out in the field. So we have this joke all the time, man. I said, "Yo, if you would have come with me, we would have been in Hawaii, but you fucked up. Well, oops, sorry about that. You
No,
messed
you're
up, and
good.
you went to Fort Hood. You know?
Wow, man. That doesn't always pay to procrastinate.
No, we always have that to this day. I said, I knew kind of what I wanted to do at that moment immediately. I said, I'm not sticking around. I want to go. There's something that was inside of me that it was a calling. I knew it. As soon as I graduated from high school, I said, there was a junior college in our town. And, I was going to play hoops there, but I was like, man, I'm like going to the edge of my town. That's it. And I'm like, no, there's this world's big.
Yeah.
And luckily for me, I did that because that stimulated me to go there. And then I stayed in Hawaii for like another year and a half. And I've been all over the world. And it was because of that decision. There's always these forks in the road that we have. And instinctively, I think if we listen to our instincts and say, I got to go down this one right here.
Right.
And then, I'm here. But I think good decision for me. I grew up very fast.
Super
Very
important. Like you said, when you get to the fork in the road, sometimes a lot of people get scared and they just kind of like, no. And if they're in a small town, whatever, no, I'm not going to leave. They're just afraid. It's hard. It's hard to make the decision.
It is. And this is nothing. Look, like I said, I love my mom and dad. And August 27th, 1980, I remember it like it happened yesterday. I left my room and I looked back and I said, I'm never coming back here again. And it wasn't an angry, I wasn't angry. It wasn't, I was excited. I just knew that when I left that room, my room, I said, I'm probably never going to come back here, but not as a negative thing. It was just more of I'm okay with it. I'm good. I know I'm leaving this nest egg and this nest and I'm going, and I never looked back. But like I said, I appreciated it. It was a great town to be born and raised in. Rode our bikes everywhere and doors were open. And,
I was born and raised.
Did you visit at time? You must have gone back and visited on holidays, stuff like that, or is it just you were?
No, I would always try to go back around the holidays. Ohio is one of those places that, you love, but, going back for the holidays around Christmas or Thanksgiving, it's such a special time. But either that or going back in the summer, we had this place called Mount Pleasant. It's this beautiful area, big park in our town. It's very beautiful. So when I took my wife there the first time, she was like, wow, this is very quaint and very, very, very beautiful, something that you would imagine like this picturesque small town.
That's cool.
But, like I said, I would go back for sure because, I love my mom and dad and try to go back, visit my brothers. I love my brothers. So my two sisters were, my one sister left when I was young, and then my other sister was so much younger than I was. So it was the three boys that would always hang out together and, put holes in the wall and, at the house and, drive my mom and dad crazy.
Absolutely.
I said the same thing when I left Tucson. Of course, I was older when I left, but it was when I left, I said, I'm not coming back. And it wasn't in a negative way. It's just, I'm leaving and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back and visit. Of course, same situation like you. I visit my parents, my brothers and sisters and all that. But when I'm leaving, I was like, I'm not coming back. And a lot of people are like, yeah, because they've known so many musicians who left. And sure, 6 months later, they're back with their tails between their legs. I'm like, I'm not coming back.
Yeah, that's a great story. So I was modeling, and we had a model book that you would have, right? And so I'd bring it home. My mom would look at it and go, whatever. My dad would always say to me, "When are you going to get a real job?" Like, he didn't understand. Like, my dad was a factory dude, man. He'd go in, clock in, and worked in the furnace room for 40 years, and he would look at me like, what do you do? I mean, it doesn't even, what? It's like, you get paid for that,
Right.
And then I never wanted to tell him, for Versace, sometimes we would get contracts and you'd get some pretty good money, right? Never said that, because then it would be, my dad would just be pissed off. Like, that's bullshit. How could you get paid for that? For that? You're just standing there. You're not doing shit, but he was my dad was old school, man. He was, totally like, and he would always be that guy when I get home and say, listen, I can get you on, come down with me now. I'll get you on and you're going to be set, you start working there, whatever. And then for me, man, that was just like, I didn't, because, look, everybody has to have a job and work very hard. And I never, work for me is work. You never put any work down because whatever.
Right.
But I was like, dude, I can never do that, man, because, you know, it's like, it would just be, I lost, you know, I lost. And it's
Soul crushing.
soul crushing and go, you know, my buddies would be like, oh, bro, well, you know, what happened, you know?
Right.
And like I said, I don't put any work down because an honest job,
Right.
an honest job, man. You
Absolutely.
know, and all my brothers out there who do hard work, bro, I respect that. But,
Yep.
you know, there's something that was in me that was like, you know what? There's something out there. I got to seek. I'm seeking it right now. So it's been a journey. All of us have journeys, man, and that's what's beautiful about everybody.
So why am I picturing Zoolander right now, man? Oh.
That's me, baby. That's right.
But Dad, I'm a model.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, what? What is that? Yeah, trying to get him to understand it was just, no, forget it, man.
I've got the black lung, Dad.
Right.
So how do you keep yourself? Honestly, man? I know we've all been through this because we're all so beautiful. But no, how do you keep yourself humble and your ego in check and stuff when you know literally you're up there as a model for Versace, one of the biggest names in fashion, and it's all about how you look and present yourself and the eyes and all. How do you stay humble and keep yourself in check with that?
I think that's the only way you can be in life, man. Because I think when you start believing your own hype, that's when you're done. I remember somebody said, "Man, don't believe the good or the bad. You know, just believe in yourself." Because if we sit here start listening to everybody's all the rumbling of that's going on outside, you know, we won't last long. But I've always been that guy. I've always been a humble dude, man. You know, I come from humble upbringing. You know, I went the way of probably different than anybody else. You know, I joined the military when I was 17. You know, I got lucky. Doing some work in Hawaii. Started working modeling and whatever. And then it took me all over the world, man. I remember doing a trip with Helena Christensen, going to Brazil for 14 days in Brazil, and going to Africa, North Africa, and basing myself in London. I lived in London for about 3.5 years, and basing myself there and popping in and out of Paris and Milan and whatever. So I met my wife in 1988 in Madrid, Spain. Nice. And then a year later, funny enough, we met walking down the street, and I went over I said, whoa, my friend Kavika is from Hawaii. And I go, wow, who's that girl? And he goes, well, that's Sue Ling, but she has a boyfriend. And I said, I'm just going to go over and say hello, you know. I went over and said hello, come up with my best stuff. Nothing, bro. It was zero. I came back. He was like, what happened? I go, she didn't say shit. Nothing, right? And so bombed that one, right? But so she told me later that, you know, her English was not perfect. So I came up, you know, like, hey, what's going on? You know, maybe speaking quick, whatever. And she said, you know, to be honest with you, I really didn't understand half what you said. You know, so she just, you know, so.
Just smile and nod, and nod.
And then a year later in Milano, I saw it walking down the street, same thing. And I said, Sue Ling, because, you know, she had long, beautiful hair, gorgeous. And she turned around, like, oh my God, what's going on? So we went out to dinner that night. We've been together ever since. So 31 years.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. That's great.
I texted you earlier and she texted me back and she's like, hey, this is his wife. He's ready, blah, blah, blah. Super cool. In fact, let's talk about her because she's quite the artist. If people don't know the art that's behind you,
yes,
that is actually your wife's art right there.
Yeah. My wife, a character called Yuki. And she created this character and starts painting. She paints usually in 3 colors, but she had a graffiti artist that jumped on board with her and created that. But she wrote a book called Yuki Spread the Love. I think I have it. And this is a book. She wrote a children's book, and it won a Moonbeam Children's Award for body, mind, self-esteem.
Really?
Her first book that she ever wrote, and she illustrated it herself. and we're converting it into a coloring book right now. So
Cool.
we're very excited about that. And
Cool.
she's an amazing wife, amazing mom. She's incredible. I mean, when they say the better half, that is absolutely the truth. She's definitely the better half here. So
Where can people pick that book up? Is it on Amazon?
we're going to we're going to republish, and we're going to have another one, but we'll definitely send the link out soon. We just want to make sure we're correct with what we're sending out right now, because we had it on a platform. We've moved off that platform. We're going to jump on another one. So yeah, soon, because we want to do a relaunch of the book and the coloring book.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Well, as a father of a 7-year-old, man, I try to get my hands on all that I can, especially now with homeschooling. You know?
So by the way, this is in the mail for you, brother.
Nice, brother.
I'm sending one out to you, and
Thank
we're
you.
going to make sure we get your son's name correct and
Nice,
send it out to you. Yeah,
I appreciate that very much. Let us have that link when you get it, and we'll share it on our website and all that.
For
good
sure.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Yeah,
That's cool.
So, first and foremost, man, we got to thank you for your service. All of our service men and women out there are true heroes that let us have the life and protect us every single day by putting theirs on the line. So, hats off to you. We love and respect each and every one of you.
thank you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
my brother.
Appreciate
Absolutely. So, acting sets in.
It's
So now, let's back up just a little bit, because you were actually a dancer
yeah.
prior to
That's
acting.
funny. I don't even know how we can even put that in there, but so a great story. This stimulates a great story. I was in London,
Right.
and Bruno Tanioli, who's actually on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
And so here's my connection with Dancing with the Stars. It's classic. So Bruno choreographed our first show called Rip It Up, Dead or Alive, and then Carrie Ann and Abby is somebody that I knew from Hawaii as well. Wow. So it's a fun, and then so Bruno knew Adam and I. Adam Perry was he's my best friend in London. He's, we were just, these two dudes that used to hang out and whatever. He said, "Hey man, they're doing this audition for this band called Dead or Alive." And I go, "Fuck, I think I know that band." It was like, they had that huge hit, "You Spin Me Around." I go, "Oh," I said, "What?" So I said, "Bro, we don't dance, man." And he goes, No, just come down and just, do your thing, vibe out, whatever. So when the show first, when they were putting the tour together, Adam and I were supposed to come out for like one song and do, Bruno was gonna, coach us how, moving forward. So anyway, during rehearsals, we just started connecting and hanging out with Pete and Steve and Mike, and just vibing with these guys. And then all of a sudden, one song turned into two, and then they said, "Why don't we just wrap this into I think the concert was 70 minutes of just constant movement." Wow. So, and of course you can see by the choreography, it's not that, but, it was just a show that we wanted to go out and shock and perform. And the first night we played the Budokan, 27,000 people. I couldn't even breathe for the whole show. I couldn't catch my breath because I was just so like overwhelmed and excited for this thing. And then to top that one, in '89, we played the Egg, which had 60,000 with Kylie Minogue, I think Pet Shop Boys, and ABC, the band called ABC was playing. I forget who else, but that was, I thought that was great. And then we did that. So amazing experience in my life. It was just one of those things I'll never forget. It was hard work, but it was an experience that I can look back on and go, man, it was an incredible experience.
I couldn't imagine. I'm not that great of a dancer, but
me neither.
I've seen you. I've been studying you, so I've actually watched the video "Rip It Up Live" that was filmed over in Japan in 1988. So I got to see you. You got some moves. You got some moves, bro.
Yeah,
you could have been an idiot or something,
Well, there was a funny part at the end that wasn't supposed to actually be in. We had one night, because over in Japan, over in that time in the 80s, they were very, like, you know, you had to sit down, you couldn't really get up. You know, they had ushers that would make you they were kind of in control, you know. And so we wanted to shock them one night. I think it was around my birthday, funny enough, the same time. And, you know, we did this, we did these G-string things, and it was supposed to be filmed, not supposed to be filmed, but they got some footage of it. And of course they threw it in there, but we did it as a shock value for that around that time, because, you know, because like I said, they couldn't move around. They were very, you know, structured to stay in their seats, but it was a blast. It was an absolute, you know, it was so much fun. I had a blast.
Did that get them out of their seats?
I think so, man. I think it was like, oh my God, Nande, what the hell is that? You know?
Right.
Yeah, it was one of those things that you look back on. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
You know, I tried a G-string once. I looked like a Sharpay with dental floss, but I think I had it backwards.
Yeah, I was
So
one and done on that one.
yeah, they paid me to put my clothes back on. So our producer is going to come in and ask a couple questions from the audience. Let's bring in Jessica real quick here. And she's got some questions that the audience is burning up with.
Cool.
Hey, Jess. Up.
Turn on your microphone.
I always forget. Sorry. Nice to meet you, James.
Hey, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I love your wife's art, and I am very interested in that book because I am an elementary teacher. So
Oh, cool.
please let us know with a link or something where we can get
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
I'll let my teacher friends know about it.
Oh, cool. That's very cool. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly, you know, kind of the road that she would like to take, because it's a beautiful story. It's about, you know, giving and you know, sometimes what you get, sharing, giving, you know, and that's it's all about love, and you know, Yuki Spreads the Love is the name of the book.
Yeah.
So and that's what we need right now.
Yep, and that's what we're trying to teach now, you know, so it's really important.
Yes.
You have an early birthday, a happy birthday from Veronica.
Thank you.
She says it's your birthday next week. Is that true?
Yes, it is October the 9th.
Okay, well, Veronica says, we all say happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
so
birthday.
much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and we have a question from Brenda. She wants to know, what got you into the arts when it seems like you're really into sports? Why not sports?
Well, yeah, that's a good. I mean, I think that sports is that was my foundation for years. When I was in the military, I played on the basketball team. I've always been a hoopster my whole life. I think the arts came from my mom's side. You know, watching her perform and you know, getting that kind of a bug to perform. I think that it came from that, and then from that point forward, it's just been totally in the arts, whether it be in the music or you know, me in the acting now. I've been doing this now since 91. And the beautiful thing about this career is that, you know, if you stay in it long enough, you'll see these different. You grow with it. I mean, you can, you know, ultimately with this business, you can stay and do it until you're in your 70s. You know. Yeah. And I like that. I mean, I think there's growth that I can look back on the first day with, I did a class with Michael Shurtleff, who wrote a book on, and that was my first introduction to acting. And I so much appreciated him, so much. He was a great man. And I said, this is in 1991. I said, after I finished this course, it was like 16 weeks, very intensive. I think there was like 35 people in the class. And the first thing he said, he comes in, he goes, none of you are going to make it. None of you.
Wow.
And he goes, I guarantee you by the end of this class, 16 weeks, there's only going to be less than half of you left. And everybody kind of looked around like, oh, it's not going to be me. Week by week, you could see people going off, not showing up. They didn't want to do it. And I think at the end of that, that was just a hunger for me. I said, you know what, I really want to do this. And that's what I said. I said, if I finish this and I still have this desire, this hunger for this, that's what it's going to be. And then after I finished it, I was like, I couldn't wait to go to my next class and, start, getting in the business. So, but I still, look, I still coach my son, 7-on-7s. We won the championship here 3 years in a row. My son's a very good athlete. So, I'm every Saturday we'd be, and I had my grid. I had 6 plays on the grid, and then I would run audibles as soon as we lined up. So we won the LA City 3 years in a row.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then she actually, this question is also from Brenda. She says, as an artist, you've done a little bit of everything, it seems like, but where does your heart really lie now?
Well, now I think that, it's totally into, and that's a good question, because I think it grows. I think that James Hyde Steals a Show, which you nicked a picture of, which I love that, because that was a show that we produced in New York. And we watched Anthony Bourdain one night years ago. We got a couple of bottles of wine. We drank it till like 5 a.m. We're like, this guy's great. And let's try to do a show where we can do something like that. So we wanted to create a show about travel, number one, because I would love to do a show again, because I love to travel. I love, my wife and I have been all over the place, to show about performance. Anywhere in the world we can go and learn the highbrow, lowbrow, anything of performance. We shot one in New York and we shot one in Boston. But I think as this business goes, I want to direct now. I want to write, I want to produce. So within this business, there's so many outlets that you can have to stay in the arts in this particular business. So 2020 has been one of those. I think that everybody kind of self-reflected and said, "Hey, I'm going to try to do a podcast here coming up. I got a good idea." Our family, the Hyde family, is trying to collaborate on something. So I think COVID has been an absolute disaster, but it's also, I think it's really brought families together. And certainly in this family, it's like we came together, we bonded, we became much closer, I think, than we have in years, because of the race. You got to take your son to school, you got to take him to practice. He eats and he goes to bed and does his homework. We were able to spend some good quality time with each other. So I thought that kind of brought that whole thing back and refocus, like, where are you right now? I think that artistically, there's other things for you to do. And that's what I'm looking for now is I would love to direct something. There's a few ideas about writing, and, of course, acting is I love. So, but yeah, I think that's where I'm at right now. I mean, look, if I was younger in my 20s, I would love to be up on stage, performing some music. But these knees can't do that anymore. So
you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, I'm quite content where I'm at right now with the acting world, with all of that. All of those little intangibles included.
Yeah, we totally, Robbie's my husband, and we could totally relate, because he's usually gone every weekend, and we have 2 kids. And so now we're home, and I'm teaching, but I actually go in the classroom and teach, but it's nice. It's nice to be together. It's nice to have that time. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's almost like we're getting, in essence, we look back on this, we're getting an extra year with my son. And, I mean, for him right now, he's 16. This is so they started last year in March, finishing out virtual. Now he's doing it again. All of his friends and everybody, I think it's to the point now where they really, it's like they were saying around the table the other day, we never thought that we would actually say this, but we're actually really missing school, so hopefully, we're going to get a vaccine soon and everybody's going to get back to whatever normal is going to be again. But I think that they're yearning for that to get back out there. So it's more of a social thing than a learning thing. I mean, he's doing, good on the virtual stuff, but it's just purely social, at this moment.
I'm just feeling like they're back to normal and everything's okay.
Yeah, I don't even know what that's going to be, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, I think that, this is another conversation going forever, but what is the new norm moving forward? We really don't know. The only thing I got to say is I'm not a political guy, but tomorrow night we have the debates. I think it's going to be very interesting. And I always tell people this, and I said this from before. It's like every 4 years, I'm not a Republican or Democrat, right? I'm an American. And what I do is every 4 years, I sit and I look and I read and I figure out who I'm going to vote for. And it's been, I've gone Democrat before, I've gone Republican before. So my whole thing is like, if you're going to sit here and be, I'm going to be a Republican, I'm going to be a Republican, or a Democrat, I don't know how you can do that because every 4 years, it's such a different scenario. So, only thing I can say is for everybody is vote, listen, read, and come up with your own decision and what you think is going to make our country move forward in a very positive way. That's that's about as political as I get.
Wise words.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, guys.
You bet. Yeah, we bring Jess in. We've got all kinds of comments coming in from the audience. Angela Eyes is one of our longtime viewers, and yesterday was her birthday. So if you can give her a shout out, that'd be great.
Happy birthday, Angela, right?
Angela, yes.
Angela, happy birthday. I know you're a fellow Libran. Just want to wish you a happy birthday. We're the ones who balance everybody out. So I hope you had a good one. And I hope you drank some tequila.
That's
Tequila.
right.
We can go on about the tequila all night, from what I understand.
Right.
I can go all night with tequila all the time.
I brought some here just in case. If you were going to do a shot, I was going to join you. If not, I won't. But if you're drinking, I'm like, I'm in.
So funny is we had what did I have? I had Casamigos over here over the weekend, and if I'm not, we were doing the tequila mules with ginger beer and tonic, and I think we polished that bottle off. So even if I wanted to go in and grab one, I don't think there's
nothing there.
You gotta have a stock, brother. You know.
Well, so when I you and I were talking earlier, and I used to work for a company, and I learned about tequila. Anyway, when I left, I had a truckload of tequila, man, and I had the liter bottles, and I passed them out to everybody, and then the shortage started going lower and lower and lower, and as a matter of fact, I think like a few weekends ago, we ran out completely. So now I actually have to start buying it. And I'm like, man, I am, like Casamigo, I think is like $60 or whatever. But, I don't mind. I'm going to go out and get some. We got to get some this week anyway. So
there you go. So let's skip over to acting for a little while. You've obviously made a name for yourself in some incredible shows. The ladies, when we announced that you were coming, their little heads flipped around on their shoulders a few times. Of course, we have Another World. You started on that back in '97. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then you did Sex in the City. You've got Miami Sands, As the World Turns, Passions, where you played a police chief.
Yep.
You've got an incredible list. In fact, just to give some behind the scenes, folks, this is the list that I've had to write for this show because this guy's got an acting credit to him that's unbelievable. Been on some huge shows: Las Vegas, CSI, The Good Mother, Ghost Force, Rush Hour 2016, Crazy Rich. Was it Crazy Rich Asians?
No. Crazy Rich and Dangerous. It was a
Crazy
Lifetime
Rich and
movie I
Dangerous.
just shot.
You got Natural Disaster, The Genius of Gianni Versace,
Yes.
and the list goes on and on and on. And tell me, and it's such a hard industry to break into. Now, Stewart Marriott has guaranteed me a spot in a movie that he's filming, but I think I'm going to play a dead dude in the back. But it's such a hard industry to get into. I mean, how did you get your foothold into acting? Did it because of your modeling, or?
Well, I was down in Miami, and there was a huge. They were having a huge casting. This was like in '92, I think. No, it was like '93, '94, and the NBC they were looking. They would have these big auditions, and so I went down, and they put you up, and you read this scene. It's kind of a cold scene. Cold scene meaning that you don't know, you don't have the sides going in. So you're basically doing a cold read, your first time going up, and you're going to read it. And put myself on tape. And then I went out, they brought me out to read for a show called Sunset Beach.
I remember that.
I didn't get it, but I ended up doing the promotions for it. So my mom was like, so did you get the show? I go, no. She goes, well, you're doing anything? I go, no, I didn't get it. But then I ended up getting the show called Passions, which is on NBC. So I think NBC had me kind of in the Rolodex to find out what that would be. The first show I was on, which was Another World, I played an internal affairs cop, and I went into that, and I knew very early on when I arrived there, it was in New York, shot out in Brooklyn, that that show was not going to last. I just felt it from everybody that had been there. It was a sinking ship. And so when I got there, they were like, don't think this is going to last very long. This is going to end. And lo and behold, it got canceled. And then I stayed in New York, and then I went down to, I shot some show in Miami called Miami Sands. It was, I think we did a couple of years of that. And then I went back up to New York to do As the World Turns. And then while I was doing that, I was being screen tested in LA. So I was like all over the place, but I'm so glad I got Passions. It was a great show, great people, really, really just an amazing, incredible experience, because I've always been, when my wife and I decided to leave Europe and come to live in Miami Beach, we were like, we would love to go to New York, not so much going up there to look for work, but getting a job taking us up there. So Another World took me up to New York. And then Passions brought me to LA in '99. So, and I've been here ever since, but it was a great show, great people. I think it was a little ahead of its time. And then, and then after Passions, it's one of those things of like, you become a journeyman, if you will. I went to Puerto Rico to live for a year after Passions was finished, because we just wanted to, I was just so, like, 9 years of learning 30 or 40 pages of dialogue every day. I was burnt. And so we went to Puerto Rico and lived and just hung out and had a great time. And then when I came back, it was the writer's strike. The economy blew up, and that's when streaming first happened. So no one kind of knew where the industry was going, and so it's kind of a reinvention. As like I said, in this business, you're in your 20s, and then you're in your 30s, and you're in your 40s. Your characters shift; they're different. You're different as a person, and it's just been, look, I'm hustling. The only thing I can tell you is I wake up every day and I got to get it. I still got that hunger that's there, and I want to seek and do great projects, and So, you know, I just finished a movie called Crazy Rich and Dangerous for Lifetime. I just finished season 2 of Monarcha on Netflix.
Oh, cool.
We just did the 2 productions I've just finished was 2020 COVID. So I went to Mexico in July to finish up season 2. And it was, you know, everybody wearing masks. You got to be tested every 3 days. Totally different than what I was been used to. You know, you got to, of course, self-distancing, just a whole new thing. And then in here in LA with Crazy Rich and Dangerous for Lifetime, it's the same thing. Tested every 3 days. You know, and productions now have to have, I would say, depending on how big the budget is, but their budget now for COVID is that's something that needs to be in the production. There's a whole team now of COVID that you have to do that, you know, moving forward, you have to have that. So it can be done. It's being done. I see like it's getting busier for me, you know, and everybody, you know, commercials and production, it's moving forward. So it's very positive right now, what I'm seeing. But again, we don't know from, you know, is there going to be another surge? You know, what's going to happen moving forward? But to everybody out there, it's a very positive thing. Production's moving forward under COVID, but it's happening. It's
cool.
You know, yeah.
Now,
So I got a question for you, because I used to get crap from friends of mine because I used to watch Sex in the City. I think they were threatened by, you know, the women being so whatever, they're so open. I liked it, but whatever. What show were you on? Because I watched
I was
it.
on the very first show. Season 1, very first one, and I played a guy in the gym, and I was talking about as being a model, how like what I used to get. Like, you know, like these extravagant things I would get, you know, while I was, you know, doing this exercise. I think it's been so long ago, but I think that's kind of what the part was. But I was on the very first season, very first show, season 1.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and the show was different at that first season. It was more like it was different the way she interacted with, you know, the camera. It evolved over.
Oh, of course.
The seasons. Yeah.
It was one of those things that nobody, like, you know, shot in New York. No one really kind of knew, of course, that it was going to turn out to be something like it was. I think at the very beginning, you know, budget wise, you could see, you know, it wasn't a big budget. You know, the sets were, you know, very, you know, I think it was LA or apartment, da 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 da.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, I don't know how long the show stayed on, but it was a humongous hit.
It was huge. It got really big. It's just, you know, the women were real free, I guess you would say. It was threatening to a lot of guys that I knew. I was like, who cares?
Yeah.
Man? It's a good show. I mean, it's just, I liked it.
Yeah. And I agree with you on that. I think it was very forward, you know, and we didn't see, you know, a lot of women like that were very free with talking about sex and, you know, their part, and, you know, whatever.
Yep.
So I think that it was like you said, I think it was kind of like one of those things. Wow, you know, that was a very forward show for that time.
For that time, yeah.
So I learned a very valuable lesson in all my years of limousines and chauffeuring and bodyguard work, and that is that women are far more sexual than men ever thought about being or hoped to be. They're just a hell of a lot better at hiding it.
That's true, man. I think I agree with you on that. I think
we're just too shallow. We can't keep it hidden, you know.
Good point.
Right.
So Robbie had the guilty pleasure of Sex in the City. Now, being that you've been in a lot of soap operas and stuff like that, a lot of guys make fun of that, but brother, I was a huge soap fan back in the day. In fact, all the way back into junior high, we used to race home at 3:00 in the afternoon, and we were a bunch of stoner jocks. I don't know if that even exists anymore.
Yeah.
But we'd race home to watch Days of Our Lives when we were like 13, and everybody would gather at the house until they changed Roman, and then it just went to crap. But that was our guilty pleasures growing up and watching soaps. It's such a diverse story, and it's constantly changing. It's got to be really hard to keep up with the characters and the dialogue, and it's so true to life in some ways. In some ways, it's completely out there.
Yeah, our show was not even close to being reality.
Right.
We had these like for instance, the Bennett house. I was played Sam Bennett, the police chief, and at my house, I had the porthole to hell in my closet. Right, my house sunk into hell. So that gives you a description right there of what kind of show this was. I mean, you know, we had a lady that lived next door that never aged, had this little doll that she would walk around with, and then it would come to life when, of course, we looked the other way, and then when we would look, it would go back to, you know. So I think so. When the show first came out, I think that the Time magazine, there was a lot of you know, magazines like Time that came out and did this article about like how in the world is NBC going to do a soap opera now with 1999 viewership is declining, you know, and I think that NBC was I don't know if they did, well, of course they don't do it on purpose, but I think that what happened was when James Riley started writing this, it created a super young audience for us. When I did the Macy's Day Parade, one of the things that I treasure my whole life is I was always a kid in Ohio, and I would always watch the Thanksgiving Day Parade. I loved it. It was just such a beautiful, and for us to be, we had our own float. For us to do that was wow. One of the things that I'll never forget. But anyway, our float was passing these like, I had to be like 2,000 cheerleaders that they brought in, right? And our float passed these cheerleaders, must have been like 13, 14, whatever. And the place, I mean, they went crazy, right? And I'm like, wow, this is, because, you know, this is a fairly new show that we just started. And then, you know, to do the signings and things like that, all of these young kids would come out and say, wow, we really love your show. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting that now NBC created a new audience. And I think that that's what they were seeking, is to create this new audience that would be the new crop of people that would watch. And, you know, we you know, hung in there for like 9 years. And, but getting back to what you were saying, I think that soap operas, I mean, we feel that every day there's so much dialogue that we have to have, but the storyline within itself does not move that fast. Right. So somebody said they could turn off the TV and 6 months later turn it on. They kind of get, you know, what's going on, because, you know, we shoot a ton of stuff every day, but the storyline itself doesn't move that quick. Right. You know, traditionally in soaps.
It's crazy. We've got Dana Selby, and she was a diehard Passions fan. She has gone on nonstop ever since we announced we're having you on. She's local here, so if you could give her a shout out, that would be very good.
What's her name? Dana
Selby.
Dana Selby, much appreciated. Glad you like the show. There's another thing here that's going on is I don't know if you know this, but she knows, is that all of the Passions shows have been pulled from YouTube. So that happened about a month ago. So my theory, this is my theory, don't quote me on this, is that the Peacock is streaming now, and NBC, of course, owns Passions. My theory is that it may pop up streaming on Peacock.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah, and I think that's certainly where it should rest now. I mean, for sure. I mean, you know, if it's been pulled off of YouTube, there's a reason.
Right.
So, and I think that, you know, Peacock just started streaming. It makes sense. It's probably going to pop up there.
Did the show end then? Did it actually end, or is it still going on?
Yeah,
it did.
We broke what's called we broke the fourth wall, which means like in a character we're talking, and when we start talking to the camera, we've broken the fourth wall. So we broke you know, we started talking directly to the people. You know, it's been a great ride. Thank you so much. They've kind of tied up some storylines, and that was it. So
and that was 2008, right?
Well, 2008 we stopped on NBC, and then we went over to DirecTV for a while.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And they didn't. I mean, quite honestly, they didn't know what to do with the show. You know, they had no idea.
Right.
So we were on there for, I don't know how long, but it didn't, maybe a year, but I don't think it lasted, whatever.
So Robbie's sister just narked him out in the comments down below.
What'd she say?
She says Robbie was a huge Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman fan.
So
No, no.
that what's her name?
Oh,
Oh,
I think I love her.
Jane
Oh, Jane Seymour.
Seymour.
yeah, JC,
Hey,
yeah,
listen,
yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I love her. I think she's like there was a movie with her with Somewhere in Time,
Right.
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is my top 5 movies of all time. I watched it in London, funny enough, and then
That's with Christopher Reeves too, right?
yes, Christopher
Yes.
Reeve.
Yeah, yeah.
Great, unbelievable. I still love that movie even today, but I love her. She's amazing.
That was a good show, but I think she's mistaken. I wasn't a huge fan. I was more into was it Quantum Leap? I loved Quantum Leap in that time. That was like the
Yeah.
show.
Right.
I was addicted to that.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
But I mean, I watched Dr. Quinn too. But
Yeah. I mean, she's. I mean, for me, she's amazing.
yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Monarcho. That's produced by a Selma Hayek company.
Yes, Selma Hayek's EP. It's Lemon Films. So I have a friend of mine, Joe Bonilla. Joe, love you, is a guy that I've known for a very, very long time. Him and my wife knew each other in Puerto Rico. He's in turn became a publicist, and now he's a manager. I want to give a shout out real quick to Laura Palace, my manager, Momentum Talent, my agent, and Joe Bonilla is my manager in the Latin world. And he called me up one day and he says, "Hey man, they're looking for a gringo in this new series, and it's produced by Selma Hayek, and it's going to be a Netflix show. It's very high quality." I said, "Okay." So I put myself on tape for it. Kind of month goes by, didn't hear anything, and just kind of reached out to him. What's going on with that? And he says, "Well, we haven't heard anything." So I just felt like it's gone, And about 2 days later, I looked at my email and I get an offer for it. And so of course, I'm the only gringo. I don't speak any Spanish in the first season. Second season, I had to, they wanted me to speak Spanish, and I'm glad I did. I saw episode number 1 of season 2, and I got to be honest with you, man, my pronunciation was pretty. I was sweating. My palms were sweating when they showed the episode. But great series. The only thing I can say is what a blessing it was. We shot all over Mexico. We shot in Mexico City, Guadalajara. The town of Tequila. Enough. We had some tequila there, my brother. I'm telling you that.
Nice.
Fortaleza. Guillermo Souza is the owner. Amazing tequila. He gave us a tour. And we hung out and had a great time. But that whole experience in Mexico was just amazing with Fernando, the writer, director, Reini Azuela, who plays my wife. Just the talent there is beyond, man. I mean, there's some very, very talented people there. And I went down. They accepted me. They brought me in their family, and we finished season 2, man. And
Cool.
I can't really be specific on the launch date because they're very, but I will tell you it's going to happen before the end of this year. So
Nice. Nice.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna watch it.
Basically, it's about a family. It's the family, a very rich family. That is. Hold on a second. We say, "Oh, James, no, we can't." Here. Okay, I was just Monarcha, the producer from Lemon Films. I said, "Hey, can we mention the launch date?" And she says, "No, we can't." But hopefully, yeah, it's going to be this year. That's all I can say. But
Yep.
But the show's great. I mean, it's about a family. I play a writer that we started off in Texas. I go to California. The lead, Rene, is my wife. We have a couple of kids. I'm a writer. She's a writer. So in the episode number 1, her father gets murdered. she had this very distant relationship with the family. She goes back, and she ends up taking over the business. And I basically don't want to go, and I end up going for my own reasons because I wanted to. I'm writing a book, and so in season 2 we'll figure out whether I write this book or not. But it's all family shows are great, when you do them right. So this is very family, Mexican billionaire family. There's tequila involved in it. There's the construction company and the hotels. So it's been amazing. I mean, it's just been a great time.
Cool.
It sounds very interesting. I'm going to check it out. It's on Netflix.
Yes.
And season 2 will be launching soon. So it sounds interesting. I saw the clips of it before we came on and throughout the week as I was researching you, obviously. And I'll tell you what, man, you're pretty stellar, brother. You definitely own the screen when you're on it, and I can appreciate that
Well, the story was when I first signed on to do it. It was 10 episodes in the first season, and there with the contract, there was no guarantee on how many episodes I would be in. So the character starts off a little, I'm in 10 episodes. I start off a little slow, and then it picks up for me storyline wise. Around 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then in 10 it was the big cliffhanger. So, but when we signed on to do it, I certainly didn't know how many shows I would be in, and then it ended up being 10. This year we shot 8 episodes, and it's to beat season 1, I think would be very difficult, but I think we've done it. I think season 2 is going to be amazing. A lot of stuff happening with my character. I mean, there's a lot of heavy stuff goes on, but
cool.
I'll definitely be checking out. We'll share a link to it on our website and our Facebook.
I have a great movie coming out too. I'm going to let you know the exact launch, but I think it's going to be around November. It's called Dutch. I play a DA, and a very amazing film. I think there's going to be a trilogy with this, but it's called Dutch. I'll let you know exactly what the launch date is on thing. But I believe because of course with COVID and everything got pushed back.
Yeah,
right.
It's supposed to be a summer release. I think now it's going to go to Netflix, but I'll let you know exactly when that's coming out. Cool. And then Natural Disasters is going to be coming out hopefully this year too. So I got some good stuff coming up, so I'm very happy about that.
Where's that one being released?
We're not sure yet.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be Netflix as well. But I'll let everybody know with you guys too, so we can find that out.
Yeah,
we'll do everything we can to help promote that. You've obviously led a very charmed life. You've worked hard. I like the fact that you say you get up every day and hustle, because that's exactly what it's about, man.
Got to. I mean, if we don't listen, if you don't listen, for everybody that's out there that does a musician, all of you gonna jump in on this one. Being a musician, actor, producer, whatever, anything. The one thing you got to remember is, like, this is a true story. When I finished Passions, I honestly thought, wow, I was on the show for like 9 years. I'm going to get the knock on the door, and
right.
You know what? The one thing you got to remember is that you got to create your own destiny.
That's right.
So you have to get out there and never think about the door. There's going to be a knock on the door. You're the one that has to go out and create those knocks.
Yep.
And just stay positive, man. The only thing that I can do every day is look. There's some information I get on it. On sometimes I really want to get a project, and I work so hard on it, and I don't get it. The one thing that we can't do, man, is we can't crumble. We just have to stay, focused and go, you know what, that one wasn't there for me. I'm going to work on my next one. So it's
super important.
It is. It's hard sometimes, when you're grinding and you're not, but the true story is, man, hard work pays off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stay persistent. I mean, I've known guys who do it in like musicians, and they'll not get a gig, and then they crumble. Then they're just like, oh, and they go and hide out for a year. It's like, hey, if I did that every time I got turned down for something, I'd be crumbled somewhere too. But it's like you can't. You got to pick yourself up and go and keep going and keep going and
Yep.
do whatever it takes. You got to hustle. Nobody's there to make you hustle. There's no boss on top. You're going hustle.
That's right.
Make calls. Write a
Yes.
song, record it, mix it, do whatever. You got to do it. You got to self motivate.
And so many times, when you do that, and you can attest to it. Like sometimes when you go out and do something, and you stay hungry, and you go out and all of a sudden another path will come down, another door will open. But if you're going to sit there and be recluse and whatever, nothing's going to happen.
That's right.
But it's not, sometimes we want that so bad, but then you go in a different angle and something else is beautiful around the corner that you never even imagined. So,
Yep.
look, I have some wine and occasionally and with my wife, but I think that's what happens to artists sometimes, man. It's the stuff doesn't happen the way they want it to. And then it's the self-medicating starts. And then you go down that road and you just gotta, look, the bottom line is you're a musician, you've been a musician for a long time, and I've known actors, and it's hard. It really is. But you just, like I said, you got to wake up every day and just, thank God I'm here, and
Yep.
and let's go get it.
Yep.
Positivity and that attitude of gratitude every day really is a big thing. And
Attitude of gratitude. Yep.
people don't really understand that even myself, I get up every morning, I do a morning show on Jack FM. I'm reading through news story after news story of negativity and hate and everything that we're filled with right now, and being forced to just consume mass amounts of consumption of hate and anger and fear, and if you can just tweak it a little bit and find the humor and find the light and find some inner peace with it, man, it changes everything. The day gets so much better. Phone calls come in that are great. I get to hang out with Robbie and do this show, and we've been blessed. I mean, this started off as just kind of like him and I and a kid named Dado just kind of coming together for a one night deal that we were going to do on Jack FM's Facebook. And since then, we've had amazing guests, and
Yeah.
our guests like yourself, they mention it to their friends, or they turn us on to the next person that they think would like to do it, like Stuart did with you. And it's just so great to see how that can exist when this was just kind of just hanging out and having fun for a night.
Well, I think, look, I've seen the shows, I've seen Stuart's, I've seen other shows. You guys do a great job. Real quick, Dano, my mom's bass player is named Dano. My mom said he's the only guy that can play bass standing up with almost fall asleep and play the bass. And I never remember, because Dano is not like a name that you hear.
No.
Right.
It's one of those different names that you certainly don't hear nowadays.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But,
so with your mom, what I'd like to do, and you tell me, you said you've got some 45s that she recorded.
Yes.
Stuff like that. If you can, I would like you to transfer me a WAV file of one of those.
I would.
So that we can put it out on the air, and you and I can kind of share that together and just pay some respect to your mother.
Well, I don't know, man. It would be hard.
I understand, my brother. I understand, but
Yeah,
Mom
I would have to take a moment to listen to that, but it would be that'd be great, man. She would so much appreciate. She was such a good woman, man. Easy, I'm blessed. But yeah, I would love that, man. I would love that. I mean, she was great, man. I was trying to tell my son, because my mom was a finger picker, and she Chet Atkins was I think her idol, growing up.
Right.
She loved Chet Atkins. She anybody that was that kind of a guitar player.
Lou Reed at that time would have been that, and the other guy that just the killer. God, who was the guy? Did all the
Roy.
he was
Roy.
Yeah, Roy Clark.
Roy
Oh,
Clark.
Roy Clark, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, again, growing up, in that era, Hee Haw was on all the time,
Yeah.
and Roy Clark. But yeah, my mom loved that. And real interesting about Lou Reed, I just want to throw this out there. One of the my brother brought home Transformers when I was a kid, albums, loved Lou Reed. But the one difference, man, that I love about him was when Sweet Jane, when he played that on the album, then he did it live. Man, it was such a different, he rocked out on Sweet Jane. I love that. I mean, I much prefer the live over the recorded, you know what I mean? But it was a big Lou Reed fan. When I used to work out at Chelsea Piers in New York, when I lived in New York, he was at the same gym that I was at.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. And I wanted to go over and do that. I'm a big fan, whatever. But Lou's so cool. I didn't know if I could do that or not.
Oh, and he was great. Another one was Albert Lee for that country style. And I met Albert a couple years ago at a NAMM show, and my wife goes, "You never get excited about anybody," and she goes, "You're like a little kid around him." I was just like, "It's Albert Lee," and I was like, "Hey."
The one person that I geeked out on, I was at Whole Foods here in Tarzana, California. And at Whole Foods, I see this kid on top of this guy's shoulders. I told my wife, "That's Dave Grohl, man."
Oh.
And because this is another whole conversation that we could have. But I'm in the '90s we had such great bands. Look, '70s we had the most epic band: Aerosmith, Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Goes down the line, right?
Yep.
Then lately it's just been like the Grammys. I think 2 years ago, and maybe this year too. I mean, last year didn't even have an award for best rock album.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the, I love to listen to everything. So I rock out, but I still love my classic rock. But the Foo Fighters is one of the bands I'm like, one of my favorite bands of all time was Rush.
Oh yeah.
I saw them in '79, and then I got to see them here at the Hollywood Bowl. And the Chili Peppers was right next to me. Like, I've been out watching Rush. It was, to me, my favorite band, rock for sure. But they're not even, radio stations are playing rock music. I mean, it's just like KROQ. I think it's changed. It's changed, man. It's But anyway, I could go on that one for a long time.
What
is the future of rock and roll, Robbie? What do you think?
Right?
I mean, I think it always comes back around, but it definitely, goes through lulls, right? It has. I remember in the late '70s when disco came in, rock was dead, and then when Van Halen came out, boy, that changed the world.
Where were you? Like, I was mowing a lawn. I just finished, and my brother pulled up in a car, and Eruption came on. I think this was in '76.
76 or 77, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Man, I was like, what just happened? It was like one of those things, when
it was like a UFO landed,
right?
It was like an alien or something.
Just like when Nirvana first played their first hit, when all of that stuff in the '80s was going on in rock, and then Stripped Down Nirvana comes on.
Oh.
It was like, what the hell just happened? So.
Yeah, but just put a knife.
Where do you see rock right now? I mean, because the greatest, we still have the Foo Fighters.
Yep.
The Chili Peppers, I think, are hanging on by a thread. Still making great music, but you know what I mean. As far as what we're there's a band that I want to give a shout out to that I think is this Robbie. I want you to listen to this band. Hold on, let me pull it up here real quick. But I listened to these guys the other day, and I was like, okay, I think we may have a resurrection here of some rock and roll. Have you ever heard of a band called Dirty Honey?
You know what? I have. I've heard of them.
Dirty Honey.
Don't think.
And there's a song called "Down the Road."
Write it down.
That I listened to the other day, and I said, it gave me chills. And I said, I think we may have a band here that's gonna give rock and roll another pulse. But
Dirty Honey.
Anyway, that's where I'm at. I could talk tequila to you till you're blue in the face. I could
Yeah.
talk rock and roll with you till you know, and talk about college football. So anyway,
Right.
No,
uh,
I did a jam with an MS benefit a few years back, and Taylor Hawkins, drummer from Foo Fighters, was there with his band, and he performed some Rush stuff.
oh
And
man,
that guy, he was killer. I mean, his drumming was just, I mean, he made the kit. Everybody played on that kit. Great drummers, but when he played it, I don't know what happened. It was super good. And then he sang on top of it, and it was like, whoa, what was this guy? You know?
did you see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the induction ceremony?
I didn't.
Well, Dave Grohl inducted them, and then they came and they played a song, and then Rush kind of came out and blended in with them and
Oh,
played.
nice.
Oh, bro, it was.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, and Dave actually went back to the kit to play,
Oh yeah.
and they let him come up and sing.
Yeah, I can imagine playing drums for Dave Grohl, who's an outstanding drummer. And it's
But
like to get
that's
that
what he
gig.
said. How,
you know,
how can I play drums when Dave's like right, you know, in front of me, you know?
exactly. It'd be like, oh man, to talk about the pressure. You gotta be
Right.
a really good drummer to have that gig, which he's got himself a really good drummer. So
Oh man, and they're amazing. I mean, I like the Foo Fighters. I like, you know, he's just a good dude too, man. If you see him, and he was so gracious at Whole Foods, man. Just, you know, just hanging out. It's like, hey, bro, what's going on? Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, he's just that guy. You know.
yeah,
Um,
seems like it.
yeah,
Seems like he'd be that. Yeah, that's cool.
So, as a DJ, I can tell you that the majority of the requests we get even today are 80s rock and 70s rock, 80s rock.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know, we've got alternative rock, we've got active rock, and there's some great bands out there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Hailstorm and Godsmack and some of these bands are fantastic. The problem is that with radio,
right.
they don't buy active rock. So your clientele and your big business and all that, they won't buy spots on active rock radio because they don't feel like that's their target demographic.
Right.
So that's why country and hip hop and pop and everything have dominated the market so much, is because people won't spend money on, and it's not because we don't have listeners, man. I mean, trust me, if I threw on an active rock station, it would be number one in the town as far as listeners are concerned.
Right.
What would kill it would be the fact that nobody's putting money on it.
No, and somebody was, I forget where it was, but somebody said the same thing. This was like 5 years ago, saying that, you know, rock and roll, classic rock and roll stations or rock and roll stations are not, you know, the numbers are dwindling, and just goes by what you were saying just now, that it's not you know, kids like my son, you know, I'm an old school hip hop dude. I'm an old school classic rock dude. You know, I listen to everything, but the one thing my son's a definite hip hop dude right now, but I think he's starting to listen to, you know, my PlayStation that I have in iTunes, which are listening a little bit more classic rock, you know.
Right.
And I'm loving it. I'm like, oh, you know, you're digging that? And he goes, yeah, man, and you know, it's not bad. So, and going back to what we just said, it's like being able to listen to it, being able to hear it, not able to. My son has to hear it through my collection that I have, or else he's not going to listen. He's not going to be able to find it.
Right. You know, there's so many things that have changed music, and I don't want to get on a tangent, but as a concert promoter, as a DJ, first of all, corporate America has killed the music industry. You can't hire the CEO of Home Depot to be the managing director at Capitol Records. Musicians and people who understand music need to take the industry back. And because of that, you've got acts and that tour, and even, you know, some of the more modern acts, more active acts are touring. They've gotten so damn expensive because they've lost the income off of record sales and all that they have to charge an exorbitant amount of money every time they play a show, that they've lost middle America. They've lost the small towns, and people are tired of paying big money and driving 3 hours to a big city. So I live in West Texas. I live in San Angelo, Texas, and we're 4 hours from a major city, 4 hours from Dallas and San Antonio and Houston. So those acts as a concert promoter, I can't afford to bring them here to a town of 130,000 people
Right.
because I don't have a venue that I could ever make up the ticket prices on.
Right.
And because of that, they've lost their audience. They've lost a large majority of their audience,
Wow.
where they could be a lot more successful if they would tour and hit those side dates,
Right.
and musicians and the people who understand music take back over the record industry.
No,
That's my
I think,
personal complaint.
no, you know what? I think you're absolutely right. The last time I went to, I think we did a U2 concert with Lenny Kravitz. Oh, great show. But I can't even, I forget how much the tickets were, but they were, they're out of control,
Yeah, it's super expensive.
Yeah. And it makes sense what you're saying, because of everything that's happened to the, to the, like you said, I think country is one of those that people are really into it. Like they'll go buy the CDs or whatever they're buying now, downloads or whatever. I think,
Yeah.
rock is, there, I think that's a whole different thing, I really do.
Right.
Yeah.
And they, you look at anybody that's active and on the current chart, you're looking at $250,000 plus to bring them to a show.
Wow.
And then you got writers, you've got everything that goes on backline and,
Right.
lights and sound and venues and all these things. There's no money in it for the promoters to bring them to the places like this. So it really does hurt them long term. Robbie knows. I've put Robbie on a stage 7 times with Jack Russell's Great White, and the crowds still are very, very enthusiastic and very much love music and the connection because it's a soundtrack of your life, man. It takes you back to that place
No doubt.
where you're growing up in Lancaster and you
Yep.
remember hearing this song on the radio and this chick was on your mind and
Oh yeah.
you had your new ride.
Yeah.
And that's what music does. It's a life force. It's definitely a charge and keeps you motored. And people today don't understand that anymore. The kids today don't understand that connection anymore because they're so connected in every way with video and Twitch
Right.
and music and downloads and Pandora and that they've got so much that there's
Yep.
no connection. There's no true connection to it anymore.
No, I mean, I drive around sometimes. I mean, Peter Frampton comes alive, Brush, Springsteen, and that was my. I mean, like I said, my sister was into soul music. My mom, of course, country. My dad, bluegrass. So I mean, but that that going back to that era, I think in the late '70s, I think thinking about the music for me was. And I listen to it now. It's like like you said, the sense memory, man. You're like, yeah, man. I remember, my first girlfriend. Peter Frampton came on, and we listened to that, yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to ask, especially, Rob, you being a musician, what the hell is going on with rock and roll, man? It's I like you said, I think I'm going to go for what you said. I think sometimes it goes into a little bit of a lull, and it comes back. It has to.
It does. I mean, it always has, right? I mean, you can see it dips and it comes back. It always comes back around.
Right.
Eventually, if people, rock's dead, it's like, well, it's maybe not. It's on resuscitation, but it always comes back around.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of new bands that are out there. I mean, look at Greta Van Fleet. They sound like Zeppelin.
Yes, they're actually really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, they're doing the throwback, and there's a bunch of those bands that are doing that, and they're getting really popular with the throwback sound. So
right.
Kind of tells you something.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can't F with a classic, right?
Right.
That's
Cool.
Yeah.
I thank you so much, my brother, for coming in with us this evening. I thoroughly have enjoyed this show tonight.
Oh man, thank you, brother. It's been great.
Absolutely.
We have to again, one more time. We have to thank Stuart. Stuart's a really, really good dude.
Yeah.
Blessings to you. Hope you're doing well in London, and thank you for the invite for these two cool guys. Robbie, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And always, man. Thank you so much. I'll definitely send the link out to when we get that new platform for my wife's book. And then when we jump off, I need to get your address
Okay.
and both of your addresses, because I'd like to send your wife one, and of course for your son. I'd love
Thank you.
to send you guys out.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thank
And then
you.
if you get that, that 45 put onto
yeah.
a digital platform,
Yeah.
probably send it to me so I can master it before it goes on air, because it'll probably be kind of quiet is my guess. And
Yes.
it might need, if it's an old, I could take it and make it, do a
Yeah.
little mastering on it for him.
You're absolutely right. And plus you're going to
That's
get
awesome.
that really kind of that old nostalgic kind of sound, you know? what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. That'd be great.
We're gonna
Yeah.
do it for sure. We're gonna do it. So yeah, get it to Robbie. He can master it, make it sound radio quality, and then I can throw it on the air, and we can kind of have a watch party and have some fun with it on the air.
Oh, that'd be tremendous, man. That'd be a blessing, man.
Cool.
Absolutely, my brother. Thank you so much, my brother. I love you very much. You take care of yourself. Give your best to your family for us, and we'll see you in the future.
All right, man. Thank you very much, everyone, for
All right,
tuning in.
thanks.
Speak to you soon.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good. Take care.
That's James Hyde. Join us live on the Hangout, man. This was a really cool show, dude. I've been vibing all night.
Yeah, it's
It felt
good.
good.
A lot of good stories there.
It felt good, brother. It felt good.
Yeah,
you,
man.
you
Yeah.
didn't get your little buzz on, bro, so you weren't getting your,
Getting all tipsy. Nah, I can't drink that often. I'm not that much of a drinker. Once a
Right?
week, a couple glasses a week, or a glass a week was kind of pretty rough for me. So I've
Right?
taken off the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I can't do the alcohol very often, but I haven't gotten a new bottle of wine from Brad in a while, so
I've still got one.
I just dig the bottles. In fact,
Yeah, right.
somebody came and took my dragon bottle from me, and I was very heartbroken.
Hmm.
So, if Steel Dragon could make its way back around, So let's talk about our sponsors real quick. We've got Judy Gentry over at Media Job. Much love to you, brother. Thank you for working with the show and taking
Media
the
Job.
website. They're a fantastic company. Check out the hangout.live for all of our past performances and what we've done and where we're going. Media Jaw. So then we've got
Full Spectrum.
friends over at Full Spectrum. Yep. It's time you
Yeah.
learn the truth about CBD.
See.
They're a great company and a great product, and I'm a CBD fan. So they actually hooked me up with this oil that's like really, really potent. And
It works, man. It works for.
It does.
It does work.
I found out here in the last week and a half that I've got a severe spine curvature and some discs that have fallen in each other, and they've got bone spurs and all kinds of weirdness and causing pain. So I've really gotten into the CBD, and it's actually helping a lot. So Full Spectrum, thank you very much. And none other than Backbeat Music, Alexandra and the team. We love you, and you take great care of us. So, Robbie, I'm going to give you two names, and you've got to choose one name. You just got to say one name. Okay? So I'm going to give you Angela Eyes or Dana Selvey.
Now, see, that sucks because I know who both of them are. So that's not really good. I could flip a coin, but also I know that Angela had a birthday. But do we have a coin here I can flip? I'll flip a coin. Do we got a coin?
All right.
That'd be more fair than going okay and just picking one and then having them go curses. No coin.
All right. So when we made the Hangout shirts originally, I had one specially made for Robbie.
I got a guitar pick.
And it's like a really nice version of the shirt. It's a collared shirt. It's got Robbie's name on it, and it was too big. It was like he was wearing his older brother's shirt. So
Right. Heads.
So-
Heads is and tails.
All
Okay,
right.
you tell me heads for which one.
Let's go heads for Angela, tails for Dana.
Okay. And here we go, the official look, and it is tails.
It's tails.
Yep.
All right. So that's Dana, right?
Yep.
That's Dana. All right, Dana, you've won Robbie's personal shirt.
Personal shirt.
Personal shirt with his own sweat in it. That's signed by
I didn't
myself,
sweat.
Robbie, and Morgan Miles. And I think what I'm going to do, because it was Dana and she was such a huge Passions fan, I'm going to check James Hyde. I'm going to text James Hyde here in just a moment and see if I can't ship it out to him, have him sign it for Dana and send it back. What do you think?
There you go.
That'd be cool, right?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
All right. So congratulations, Dana Selvey. We love you all for watching. We'll do this again next week. It does look like we're going to be able to be on Facebook for the next week. So we'll see you
Yeah,
then.
we'll find out.
All right. Love you all. We'll see you next time.
See you.
Boy.